The Vikings, a name that echoes through the annals of history, conjuring images of a time when the world was a vast, uncharted expanse, and the seas were the highways of the brave and the bold. The very word evokes images of fierce warriors, clad in armor, their faces set in expressions of determination and ferocity, ready to conquer and claim new lands. Longboats slicing through icy waves, their sleek designs cutting through the water with precision, these vessels were the lifeblood of Viking expeditions, enabling them to traverse vast distances and explore unknown territories. And raids on terrified coastal settlements, where the sight of Viking sails on the horizon struck fear into the hearts of those who lived by the sea. These raids were swift and brutal, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. For centuries, their name has been synonymous with violence and plunder, their reputation as fearsome marauders cemented in the collective memory of Europe. The aftermath of their raids often left villages in ruins, smoke rising from the remnants of what once was. Their history often painted in broad strokes of brutality, the Vikings have been depicted as ruthless invaders, their conquests marked by bloodshed and terror. But this is only one facet of their complex legacy. But the Vikings were far more than just raiders. They were skilled navigators, fearless explorers, shrewd traders, and gifted artisans. Their ability to read the stars and navigate the open seas was unparalleled, allowing them to reach distant shores and establish trade routes that spanned continents. Their story is one of remarkable expansion, cultural exchange, and enduring legacy. The artifacts they left behind, from intricately crafted jewelry to everyday tools, tell a story of a people who were not only warriors, but also creators and innovators. This is the story of the Vikings, a journey into their world, a world that was as much about exploration and discovery as it was about conquest and domination. From their humble beginnings in small Scandinavian villages, they set off on journeys that would take them to the far corners of the known world. From their icy origins in Scandinavia, where the harsh climate and rugged landscape shaped their way of life, the Vikings emerged as a formidable force. The fjords and mountains of their homeland were both a challenge and a source of strength, fostering a resilience that would serve them well in their voyages. To their far-reaching voyages across Europe and beyond, the Vikings were driven by a spirit of adventure and a desire for new opportunities. Their exploration routes took them to places as far-flung as North America, the Middle East, and even the distant shores of Asia. We will delve into their history, separating fact from fiction, to uncover the true nature of the Viking world. Through the examination of artifacts and historical records, we can piece together a more nuanced understanding of who the Vikings were and what they accomplished. To understand the forces that drove them, we must look at the social, economic, and environmental factors that influenced their actions. The Vikings were not just driven by a desire for wealth and power, but also by a need to survive and thrive in a challenging world. And the impact they had on the world stage was profound. The Vikings left an indelible mark on the regions they touched, influencing the course of history in ways that are still felt today. Their legacy can be seen in the cultural and genetic heritage of many modern societies, as well as in the enduring fascination with their story. The construction of their iconic longships was a marvel of engineering. These vessels, with their shallow drafts and symmetrical design, were capable of navigating both open seas and shallow rivers. The craftsmanship involved in building a longship was meticulous, requiring a deep understanding of woodwork and shipbuilding techniques. Beyond their prowess in battle, the Vikings were also skilled blacksmiths and artisans. They forged weapons that were not only functional, but also works of art, adorned with intricate designs. Their jewelry, often made from precious metals and stones, reflected their appreciation for beauty and craftsmanship. As traders, the Vikings established extensive networks that connected different parts of the world. They traded goods such as furs, amber, and slaves, and in return, they acquired silver, spices, and other valuable commodities. These trade routes facilitated cultural exchange and helped to spread ideas and technologies. The Vikings' explorations brought them into contact with diverse cultures and peoples. In their voyages to places like Greenland, Iceland, and North America, they encountered indigenous populations and established settlements. These interactions were not always peaceful, but they were significant in shaping the course of history. Religion and mythology played a central role in Viking society. The Norse pantheon, with gods like Odin, Thor, and Freyja, was deeply intertwined with their daily lives and beliefs. Religious rituals and ceremonies were conducted to honor these deities and seek their favor in times of need. The Vikings also left behind a rich legacy of rune stones and inscriptions. These carved stones, often erected to commemorate important events or individuals, provide valuable insights into their language, culture, and history. The runes used in these inscriptions were more than just letters. They were symbols imbued with meaning and power. Viking society was governed by a complex system of laws and customs. The Thing, an assembly of free men, was a central institution where disputes were settled and decisions were made. This early form of democratic governance allowed for a degree of social order and justice in Viking communities. Family and community were at the heart of Viking life. Daily activities revolved around farming, fishing, and crafting, with each member of the household contributing to the well-being of the group. The roles of men and women were distinct but complementary, with both playing vital parts in the survival and prosperity of their society. Education and storytelling were important aspects of Viking culture. Knowledge was passed down through oral traditions, with skalds or poets reciting sagas and epic tales that preserve the history and values of the Vikings. These stories, filled with heroism and adventure, continue to captivate audiences to this day. The influence of the Vikings extends into modern culture, where their legacy is celebrated in festivals, literature, and media. Viking-themed events, reenactments, and exhibitions draw enthusiasts from around the world, eager to connect with this fascinating chapter of history. The descendants of the Vikings continue to honor their heritage, preserving traditions and maintaining cultural sites that offer a glimpse into the past. These efforts ensure that the story of the Vikings remains alive and accessible for future generations. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in Viking shipbuilding and navigation. Enthusiasts and historians have constructed replicas of Viking longships, embarking on voyages that retrace the roots of their ancestors. These modern-day expeditions serve as a testament to the enduring spirit of exploration and adventure that defined the Vikings. Archaeological discoveries continue to shed light on the Viking era, uncovering new artifacts and sites that provide deeper insights into their way of life. Excavations in places like Denmark, Norway, and the British Isles have revealed treasures that add to our understanding of this remarkable civilization. The influence of the Vikings can also be seen in the language and place names of the regions they once inhabited. Many English words and geographical names have their roots in Old Norse, a testament to the lasting impact of Viking settlements and interactions. The legacy of the Vikings has inspired countless works of art and literature. From epic poems and sagas to modern novels and films, the stories of Viking heroes and their adventures continue to capture the imagination of people around the world. As we conclude our journey into the world of the Vikings, we are reminded of their extraordinary contributions to history and culture. Their spirit of exploration, their skills as navigators and traders, and their enduring legacy as both warriors and artisans have left an indelible mark on the world. The story of the Vikings is a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of a people who dared to venture beyond the known and into the unknown, shaping the course of history in ways that continue to resonate today. The Viking Age, spanning roughly from the late 8th to the mid-11th centuries, left an indelible mark on history. This era, often romanticized and mythologized, was a time of exploration, conquest, and cultural exchange. The Vikings, hailing from the Scandinavian regions of modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, were not just fierce warriors, but also skilled navigators, traders, and settlers. Their longships, marvels of maritime engineering, allowed them to traverse vast distances, reaching as far as North America to the west and the Caspian Sea to the east. These voyages were not merely for plunder. They established trade routes, founded settlements, and influenced the cultures they encountered. Their influence can be seen in the place names, languages, and cultures of countless nations. In England, for instance, many towns and cities bear names of Viking origin, such as York, which was once the Viking city of Jorvik. The Old Norse language has left its mark on the English language, with words like skarn, egg, and window tracing their roots back to the Vikings. Beyond linguistics, the Vikings' impact is evident in the genetic makeup of populations, particularly in regions like the British Isles, where Viking ancestry is still detectable today. Their legacy is also visible in the legal and political systems of the places they settled, with some historians arguing that the democratic practices of the Viking assemblies, or things, influenced the development of parliamentary systems in Europe. Yet, for all their impact, the Vikings left behind a relatively sparse written record. Unlike the Romans or the Greeks, who documented their histories extensively, the Vikings relied heavily on oral traditions. Their sagas and eddas, passed down through generations, were only written down centuries after the events they describe. This reliance on oral storytelling means that much of what we know about the Vikings comes from later interpretations, which may be coloured by the biases and perspectives of those who recorded them. Additionally, the harsh Scandinavian climate and the Vikings' use of perishable materials for writing, such as wood and parchment, have resulted in the loss of many potential records. Much of what we know about them comes from the accounts of those they encountered, often their enemies, and from archaeological discoveries that continue to piece together their story. Medieval chroniclers, such as the Anglo-Saxon monks, often depicted the Vikings as ruthless invaders, emphasizing their raids and battles. These accounts, while valuable, must be read with caution, as they reflect the perspectives of those who suffered at the hands of the Vikings. Archaeology, on the other hand, provides a more nuanced view. Excavations of Viking sites have uncovered a wealth of artifacts, from everyday items like tools and clothing to more extraordinary finds like treasure hoards and ship burials. These discoveries offer insights into the Vikings' daily lives, their social structures, and their beliefs. This lack of a comprehensive written history from their own perspective adds to the mystery and allure of the Vikings. The image of the Viking warrior, clad in chainmail and wielding a fearsome axe, emerging from the mist to raid a coastal village, is a powerful and enduring one. But the reality of Viking life was far more complex. They were not just raiders, but also farmers, traders, and explorers. Their society was hierarchical, with powerful chieftains and kings at the top, but it also valued individual prowess and achievement. The Vikings' pagan beliefs, with their pantheon of gods and goddesses, their rituals and their myths, offer a fascinating glimpse into their worldview. Yet much of this remains shrouded in mystery, as the Vikings themselves left few written records of their religious practices. It is a history often shrouded in mist, a tapestry woven from fragments of evidence, oral traditions, and archaeological treasures. The Viking Age, with its blend of fact and legend, continues to captivate our imagination. Modern research, combining historical texts, archaeological findings, and even genetic studies, is gradually uncovering more about these enigmatic people. Yet the allure of the Vikings lies not just in what we know, but in what remains unknown. Their legacy, like the misty landscapes of their homeland, is both tangible and elusive, a testament to a time when the world was still full of uncharted territories and untold stories. To truly understand the Vikings, we must move beyond the simplistic image of bloodthirsty barbarians. The common portrayal of Vikings as mere raiders and pillagers is a narrow view that overlooks the rich tapestry of their existence. These seafaring Norsemen were not just warriors, they were also explorers, traders, and settlers who left an indelible mark on the world. We must delve into the complexities of their culture, their motivations, and their achievements. The Vikings were a people of great ingenuity and adaptability. Their ability to navigate the treacherous waters of the North Atlantic, their skill in crafting tools and weapons, and their sophisticated social structures all speak to a civilization that was far more advanced than often credited. We must examine the social structures that governed their lives, from the chieftains who led their communities to the farmers and artisans who sustained them. The Viking society was hierarchical, but also surprisingly democratic in certain aspects. The Thing, a governing assembly, allowed free men to voice their opinions and settle disputes, showcasing a form of early participatory governance. The religious beliefs that shaped their worldview were deeply intertwined with their daily lives. The Norse pantheon, with gods like Odin, Thor, and Freya, provided a framework for understanding the world around them. Rituals and sacrifices were common, and runestones served as both memorials and spiritual guides. Their mythology, rich with tales of heroism and the supernatural, influenced their actions and decisions, and the artistry that flowed from their hands was nothing short of remarkable. Viking craftsmanship extended beyond weaponry to include intricate wood carvings, elaborate textiles, and detailed metalwork. These artifacts not only served practical purposes, but also held significant cultural and symbolic meanings. The artistry of the Vikings is a testament to their creativity and attention to detail. This exploration will take us on a journey through time, from the icy fjords of Norway, where their longships were born, to the far reaches of their explorations. The harsh Nordic landscape, with its rugged beauty, shaped the Viking way of life. Their settlements, often located near water, were strategically placed for both defense and trade. To the bustling marketplaces of Constantinople, where they traded goods and ideas. The Vikings were not isolated. They were part of a vast network of trade that connected them to the Byzantine Empire, the Islamic Caliphates, and beyond. Their merchant ships carried not only goods but also cultural exchanges that enriched both their own society and those they interacted with. We will encounter legendary figures and ordinary individuals, each contributing to the Viking legacy. From the famed warriors like Ragnar Lothbrok and Leif Erikson to the unsung heroes who tilled the land and raised families, every Viking had a role to play. Their stories, passed down through sagas and oral traditions, offer a glimpse into their lives and values, all playing their part in the epic saga of the Vikings. Their battles, both on land and sea, were legendary, but so were their voyages of discovery. They reached as far as North America, centuries before Columbus, and established settlements in Greenland and Iceland. Their burial ceremonies, often elaborate and filled with symbolism, reflected their beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife. The Vikings were a people of contrasts, fierce yet artistic, adventurous yet rooted in tradition. Join us as we unveil the real Vikings, a civilization that continues to captivate and inspire. The story of the Vikings begins in Scandinavia, a land of rugged beauty and harsh conditions. This region, known for its breathtaking fjords, towering cliffs, and expansive forests, was both a haven and a challenge for its inhabitants. The natural landscape, with its dramatic contrasts, played a crucial role in shaping the lives and culture of the people who lived there. The fjords, carved by glaciers over millennia, provided natural harbours that were perfect for the seafaring lifestyle of the Vikings. These waterways were not just geographical features, they were lifelines that connected communities and facilitated trade and exploration. Comprising present-day Denmark, Norway and Sweden, Scandinavia was a region shaped by its geography. The rugged terrain and harsh climate demanded resilience and ingenuity from its inhabitants. The people of Scandinavia adapted to their environment in remarkable ways, developing skills and technologies that allowed them to thrive in a land that could be both bountiful and unforgiving. The long, cold winters and short, intense summers dictated the rhythm of life, influencing everything from agriculture to social structures. The map of Scandinavia, with its intricate coastline and numerous islands, tells a story of a people who were intimately connected to the sea. Mountainous terrain, dense forests, and long coastlines defined the lives of its inhabitants. The mountains, with their imposing presence, were both barriers and protectors, shaping the movement and settlement patterns of the people. The forests, rich with resources, provided timber for building and fuel for warmth, while also being home to a variety of wildlife that was crucial for sustenance. The coastline, with its deep fjords and sheltered bays, was the gateway to the world beyond. It was along these shores that the Vikings built their legendary ships, vessels that would carry them on voyages of trade, exploration and conquest. The Vikings, or Norsemen as they were known, were not a unified nation, but rather a collection of distinct groups who shared a common cultural heritage and a seafaring tradition honed over generations. Each group had its own leaders, customs and territories, but they were bound together by a shared language, mythology and way of life. The Norsemen were skilled craftsmen, farmers and warriors, and their society was organized around a complex system of kinship and loyalty. The village was the heart of Viking life, a place where families lived and worked together, and where traditions were passed down from one generation to the next. The preparation of ships was a communal effort, involving the entire community in a ritual that was both practical and symbolic. Their lives were intricately linked to the sea, which provided sustenance, transportation, and a pathway to the wider world. The sea was a source of food, with fishing being a vital part of the Viking economy. It was also a highway, connecting distant lands and enabling the exchange of goods, ideas and cultures. The Vikings were master navigators, using the stars, the sun and the sea itself to guide their journeys. Their ships, with their sleek designs and advanced technology, were capable of crossing vast distances and navigating treacherous waters. The trade routes established by the Vikings stretched from the icy waters of the North Atlantic to the warm shores of the Mediterranean, creating a network that linked Scandinavia to the far corners of the known world. These routes were not just for trade, they were conduits for exploration and expansion, allowing the Vikings to discover new lands and establish settlements far from their homeland. The sea was both a challenge and an opportunity, shaping the destiny of the Norsemen and leaving a legacy that would endure for centuries. Section 5, the Viking expansion, a timeline of conquest. The Viking Age, a period that spanned from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, was marked by the extraordinary expansion of the Norse people. This era, often romanticized and mythologized, was driven by a complex interplay of factors that propelled the Vikings from their Scandinavian homelands to the far reaches of Europe and beyond. Driven by a complex interplay of factors, including population pressures, the Vikings were compelled to seek new lands and opportunities. The harsh and often unforgiving climate of Scandinavia, coupled with limited arable land, created a situation where the burgeoning population needed to find new resources to sustain itself. This necessity pushed the Vikings to look beyond their borders to the fertile lands and prosperous communities of Europe, a thirst for wealth and land, and a desire to gain riches and status. The allure of wealth was a powerful motivator. Stories of the immense treasures held in monasteries and towns across Europe reached the ears of Viking chieftains, who saw an opportunity to enhance their own power and prestige. These treasures, often in the form of gold, silver and other valuable goods, were irresistible targets for the Vikings, who were skilled warriors and seafarers, and a spirit of adventure. The Vikings embarked on an era of unprecedented expansion. The Viking spirit of adventure and exploration cannot be understated. These seafaring people were driven by a desire to explore the unknown, to discover new lands, and to test their mettle against the challenges of the open sea. This adventurous spirit led them to embark on voyages that would take them to the farthest corners of the known world and even beyond. Beginning in the late 8th century, the Viking longships, with their sleek and innovative designs, began to appear on the horizons of Europe. These ships, marvels of maritime engineering, were capable of navigating both the open sea and shallow rivers, allowing the Vikings to reach places that were previously inaccessible. The sight of these longships, with their dragon-headed prows and fearsome crews, struck fear into the hearts of coastal communities. Their longships began to appear on the horizons of Europe, heralding the arrival of a new and formidable force. The longships were not only fast and agile, but also capable of carrying large numbers of warriors, making them ideal for both raiding and exploration. As these ships approached the shores of Europe, the people living in coastal communities knew that they were facing a threat unlike any they had encountered before, striking fear into the hearts of coastal communities. The sudden and often brutal raids carried out by the Vikings left a lasting impression on the people of Europe. These raids were characterized by their speed and ferocity, with the Vikings quickly overwhelming their targets and making off with valuable goods and captives. The fear of Viking raids became a constant presence in the lives of those living in vulnerable coastal areas. From the British Isles to the Caspian Sea, the Vikings left their mark on the world. Their influence extended far beyond their Scandinavian homelands as they established settlements, engaged in trade, and even founded new kingdoms. The impact of the Viking expansion can still be seen today in the cultural and genetic legacy they left behind in the regions they touched. The Vikings left their mark, raiding monasteries, establishing settlements, and engaging in trade. The raids on monasteries were particularly significant, as these religious centres often held great wealth and were relatively undefended. The Vikings' ability to strike quickly and disappear just as fast made them a formidable threat. However, the Vikings were not just raiders, they were also settlers and traders. They established settlements in places like Iceland, Greenland, and even North America, and they engaged in trade with communities as far away as the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic caliphates. Their longships, marvels of maritime engineering, were a key factor in their success. These ships were designed to be both fast and flexible, capable of navigating the open sea as well as shallow rivers. The construction of these ships was a testament to the skill and ingenuity of Viking shipbuilders, who used advanced techniques to create vessels that were both strong and lightweight, allowed them to navigate rivers and seas with remarkable speed and agility, giving them a strategic advantage over their enemies. The ability to travel quickly and efficiently allowed the Vikings to launch surprise attacks and to retreat before their enemies could mount a defense. This mobility was a crucial element of their raiding strategy, and it also enabled them to explore and settle new lands, making them a formidable force to be reckoned with. The combination of their advanced maritime technology, their warrior culture, and their spirit of adventure made the Vikings one of the most formidable forces of their time. Their legacy is still felt today as the stories of their exploits continue to capture the imagination of people around the world. The Viking Age was a time of great change and upheaval, and the impact of the Vikings on the history of Europe and beyond cannot be overstated. Section 6. More than conquerors, the depth of Viking culture. The Vikings, often depicted as mere marauders and pillagers, were in fact a people of profound cultural depth and sophistication. Their legacy extends far beyond the battlefield, encompassing a rich tapestry of art, literature, craftsmanship, and social structure that continues to captivate historians and enthusiasts alike. While the Vikings are often remembered for their raids, it is essential to recognize that their culture was far more nuanced and sophisticated than a simplistic portrayal of violence might suggest. The Viking Age, spanning from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, was a period of significant cultural and economic development. The Vikings were not just warriors, they were also traders, explorers, and settlers who left an indelible mark on the regions they touched. They possessed a rich oral tradition, immortalized in their sagas, epic tales of gods, heroes, and legendary deeds. These sagas were more than mere stories. They were a means of preserving history, culture, and values. The sagas were passed down through generations, often recited by skilled storytellers who could captivate their audience with tales of adventure, honor, and the supernatural. The sagas also served as a way to teach moral lessons and reinforce social norms within Viking society. Their craftsmanship was renowned, evident in their intricate jewelry, weaponry, and shipbuilding. Viking artisans were masters of their craft, creating objects that were both functional and beautiful. Their jewellery, often made of silver and gold, featured intricate designs that reflected their artistic sensibilities and cultural beliefs. Viking weaponry, including swords, axes and shields, was not only effective in battle but also works of art in their own right. The construction of their longships, with their sleek design and advanced engineering, allowed the Vikings to travel vast distances and establish trade routes that connected different parts of the world. The Vikings were skilled artisans, working with wood, metal and bone to create objects of both practical use and exquisite beauty. Their craftsmanship extended to everyday items, such as tools, household goods and clothing, which were often decorated with intricate patterns and motifs. The Vikings' ability to work with a variety of materials and their attention to detail set them apart as exceptional craftsmen. Their skills were passed down through generations, ensuring that their techniques and traditions continued to thrive. Their artistic motifs, often featuring intertwined animals and abstract designs, reflected their deep connection to the natural world and their belief in the interconnectedness of all things. The Vikings saw the world as a complex web of relationships, where every element was connected to the others. This worldview was expressed in their art, which often depicted animals, plants and mythical creatures in intricate interwoven patterns. These designs were not only aesthetically pleasing but also carried symbolic meanings representing concepts such as strength, protection and the cycle of life. The Vikings' art and craftsmanship were a testament to their creativity, ingenuity and deep appreciation for the world around them. The Vikings' social structure was also a key aspect of their culture. They had a hierarchical society, with a king or chieftain at the top, followed by nobles, freemen and thralls, slaves. This structure was reflected in their legal system, which was based on a combination of customary law and formal legal codes. The Vikings held regular assemblies known as things, where disputes were settled, laws were made, and important decisions were discussed. These assemblies were a crucial part of Viking society, providing a forum for community members to voice their opinions and participate in the governance of their communities. Religion played a central role in Viking culture. The Vikings worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each associated with different aspects of life and nature. The most well-known of these deities include Odin, the god of wisdom and war, Thor, the god of thunder and protector of humanity, and Freya, the goddess of love and fertility. The Vikings believed that their gods were actively involved in their lives, and they performed various rituals and sacrifices to gain their favour and ensure their protection. These religious practices were often conducted at sacred sites such as groves, springs and temples, where the Vikings felt a strong connection to the divine. The Vikings' exploration and trade activities were another significant aspect of their culture. They were skilled navigators and seafarers, capable of travelling great distances across the open sea. Their longships, with their shallow drafts and sturdy construction, allowed them to navigate both coastal waters and inland rivers. The Vikings established trade routes that connected Scandinavia with other parts of Europe, the Middle East, and even North America. They traded a wide variety of goods, including furs, textiles, metalwork and slaves, and they brought back exotic items such as spices, silk and precious stones. These trade networks not only enriched the Vikings economically, but also facilitated cultural exchange and the spread of ideas. Education and knowledge were highly valued in Viking society. While formal education systems as we know them today did not exist, the Vikings placed great importance on learning and the transmission of knowledge. Children were taught practical skills such as farming, hunting and craftsmanship from a young age. They also learned about their history, mythology and cultural traditions through oral storytelling and the recitation of sagas. The Vikings had a system of runic writing which they used for various purposes, including recording important events, marking ownership and creating memorials. The runes were more than just a writing system. They were believed to have magical properties and were often used in rituals and divination. The Vikings' legacy is still evident today in many aspects of modern culture. Their influence can be seen in place names, language, and even genetic heritage in the regions they settled. The sagas and myths they created continue to inspire literature, art, and popular culture. The Vikings' adventurous spirit and their ability to adapt and thrive in diverse environments are qualities that continue to resonate with people around the world. By exploring the depth of Viking culture, we gain a greater appreciation for their contributions to history and their enduring impact on our world. In conclusion, the Vikings were much more than the fierce warriors often depicted in popular media. They were a complex and multifaceted people with a rich cultural heritage that encompassed art, literature, craftsmanship, social structure, religion, exploration, and trade. Their legacy is a testament to their ingenuity, creativity, and resilience, and it continues to captivate and inspire us today. By delving into the depth of Viking culture, we uncover a world of fascinating stories, remarkable achievements, and enduring traditions that have shaped our history and continue to influence our present. Section 7, Gods, Sagas and Runes, Exploring Viking Beliefs. The Vikings' worldview was shaped by their unique mythology, a complex tapestry of gods, goddesses, giants and monsters. This mythology was not just a collection of stories, but a living, breathing part of their daily lives. It influenced their decisions, their rituals, and their understanding of the world around them. The sagas and myths were passed down orally from generation to generation, ensuring that the rich tapestry of their beliefs was never lost. These stories were often told by skilled storytellers who could captivate an audience with tales of heroism, adventure, and the supernatural. Their pantheon reflected the forces of nature they contended with daily: the power of the sea, the fury of storms, the fertility of the land. The Vikings were seafarers, and the sea was both a source of sustenance and a formidable adversary. The storms that raged across the North Atlantic were seen as manifestations of the gods' anger or displeasure. Similarly, the fertile land of Scandinavia, with its lush forests and abundant wildlife, was viewed as a gift from the gods, a reward for their hard work and perseverance. The natural world was a constant presence in their lives, and their mythology provided a way to make sense of its many mysteries. Odin, the All-Father, god of wisdom, war and magic, held a prominent place in their pantheon. He was a complex and multifaceted deity, embodying both the noble and the terrifying aspects of the divine. Odin was often depicted as a wise old man with a long beard, wearing a cloak and a wide-brimmed hat. He was accompanied by his two ravens, Hugin and Munin, who flew across the world each day and brought back news of all that they had seen and heard. Odin was also a god of war, and he was often invoked by warriors seeking victory in battle. His magical abilities were legendary, and he was said to have sacrificed one of his eyes in exchange for wisdom. As did Thor, the god of thunder, whose mighty hammer Mjolnir was a symbol of protection and strength. Thor was a beloved figure among the Vikings, known for his bravery and his willingness to defend the gods and humans alike from the forces of chaos. He was often depicted as a burly, red-bearded warrior, wielding his hammer with ease. Mjolnir was not just a weapon, but also a tool for blessing and consecration. It was used in various rituals, including weddings and funerals, to invoke Thor's protection and ensure the well-being of the community. Thor's adventures, battling giants and other monstrous beings, were some of the most popular stories in Viking mythology. Their myths and legends, passed down through generations, provided a framework for understanding the world and their place within it. These stories were more than just entertainment. They were a means of preserving the collective memory and values of the Viking people. The sagas often featured heroes who embodied the virtues of courage, loyalty, and honor. They also explored themes of fate and destiny, reflecting the Vikings' belief in a predetermined course of events. The runes, the ancient alphabet used by the Vikings, were believed to have magical properties and were often inscribed on stones, weapons, and other objects. These inscriptions served as both a form of communication and a way to invoke the power of the gods. The rituals and ceremonies of the Vikings were deeply intertwined with their beliefs. They held various festivals throughout the year to honor the gods and ensure their favor. These festivals often involved feasting, music and dancing, as well as sacrifices of animals and, in some cases, humans. The most important of these festivals was Yule, a midwinter celebration that later influenced the modern Christmas holiday. During Yule, the Vikings would light bonfires, decorate their homes with evergreen branches, and exchange gifts. They believed that these rituals would help to ensure the return of the sun and the renewal of life in the spring. Warfare was a central aspect of Viking life, and their beliefs reflected this reality. The concept of Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain, was a key element of their afterlife beliefs. Warriors who died bravely in battle were believed to be taken to Valhalla by the Valkyries, where they would join Odin and other fallen heroes in an eternal feast. This belief in a glorious afterlife for warriors served to inspire and motivate the Vikings in their many raids and battles. It also reinforced the importance of bravery and honor in their culture. Death and the afterlife were significant themes in Viking mythology. The Vikings practiced both cremation and burial, often with elaborate grave goods to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Ship burials were particularly prestigious, reserved for high-ranking individuals. These burials involved placing the body in a ship, along with weapons, jewelry and other valuable items, and then covering the ship with a mound of earth. The Vikings believed that these grave goods would be needed in the afterlife, and their inclusion reflected the status and achievements of the deceased. The legacy of Viking beliefs can still be seen today in the many artifacts and runestones that have been discovered across Scandinavia and beyond. These relics provide a glimpse into the rich and complex world of the Vikings, revealing their deep connection to their gods, their land, and their ancestors. The stories and symbols carved into these stones continue to captivate and inspire, offering a window into a time when the line between the natural and the supernatural was blurred, and the world was filled with wonder and mystery. Today, the influence of Viking beliefs can be seen in various aspects of modern Scandinavian culture. Festivals celebrating Viking heritage, such as the Viking Festival in Norway and the Uphelliar Fire Festival in Scotland, attract thousands of visitors each year. These events feature reenactments of Viking battles, traditional music and dance, and displays of Viking crafts and artifacts. Museums and exhibitions dedicated to Viking history and culture can be found throughout Scandinavia, offering visitors the chance to learn more about this fascinating period in history. The enduring appeal of Viking mythology and the values it represents continue to resonate with people around the world. The natural beauty of Scandinavia, with its rugged coastlines, dense forests and majestic mountains, serves as a fitting backdrop for the enduring legacy of Viking beliefs. The connection between the land and the people remains strong, and the stories of the gods, heroes and mythical creatures continue to be told and retold. Whether through literature, art or popular culture, the spirit of the Vikings lives on, reminding us of a time when the world was a place of adventure, mystery and endless possibility.
North and South medley, played by the United States Marine Pipe and Drum Corps. It is on record.
Section 8. The Viking World, a Tapestry of Interactions. The Viking Age was not merely a period of conquest and expansion, it was a time of profound transformation and interaction. The Vikings, often depicted as fierce warriors and raiders, were also skilled navigators, traders and explorers. Their journeys took them far beyond their Scandinavian homelands, leading to encounters with a multitude of cultures and civilizations. This era of significant cultural exchange saw the Vikings engaging in trade, diplomacy, and even intermarriage with the peoples they encountered. Markets in Viking towns were bustling hubs of activity, where goods from distant lands were exchanged and ideas and technologies were shared. The Vikings were not just takers, but also givers, contributing to the cultural and economic landscapes of the regions they touched. The Vikings were not isolated in their Scandinavian homeland, but interacted with a diverse array of cultures across Europe and beyond. Their voyages took them to the British Isles, the Frankish Empire, the Iberian Peninsula, and even the distant shores of the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Each of these interactions brought new influences and opportunities for both the Vikings and the people they met. They traded extensively, establishing trading posts and routes that spanned vast distances. From the bustling markets of Baghdad to the remote settlements of Greenland, Viking traders were a common sight. They exchanged furs, amber and walrus ivory from the north for silver, silk and spices from the south. These trade networks not only brought wealth to the Viking world, but also facilitated the flow of knowledge and culture. Their longships, laden with furs, timber, slaves and other valuable commodities, were marvels of engineering. These vessels, with their shallow drafts and sturdy construction, allowed the Vikings to navigate both open seas and inland rivers. This versatility enabled them to reach distant lands and establish connections with a wide range of cultures. Viking longships sailed to the Byzantine Empire in the east and as far west as North America. In the east, they served as mercenaries in the Byzantine army, known as the Varangian Guard, and brought back tales of the splendor of Constantinople. In the west, they established settlements in Iceland, Greenland, and even attempted to colonize Vinland in present-day Newfoundland. These voyages of exploration and settlement expanded the Viking world and left a lasting legacy. These interactions left a lasting impact on both the Vikings and the cultures they encountered. The exchange of goods was accompanied by the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. Viking art, with its distinctive styles and motifs, influenced by the art of the peoples they met. The runic alphabet used by the Vikings was adapted and used in various forms across Europe. The legacy of the Vikings is evident in the archaeological record, with artifacts showing the blending of Viking and local styles. From the intricate metalwork of the British Isles to the rune stones of Scandinavia, the influence of Viking culture is unmistakable. These interactions not only shaped the course of history, but also left a rich tapestry of cultural exchange that continues to fascinate and inspire us today. The Viking Age, therefore, was not just a time of raids and conquest, but also a period of significant cultural and economic interaction. The Vikings were not merely warriors, but also traders, explorers and settlers who left an indelible mark on the world. Their legacy is still visible in the modern-day Scandinavian towns that celebrate their Viking heritage, in the reconstructed Viking villages that offer a glimpse into their way of life, and in the countless artifacts that tell the story of their interactions with the wider world. Today, the fascination with the Viking Age continues, with reenactments, festivals and museums dedicated to preserving and celebrating this rich history. These events not only honour the memory of the Vikings, but also provide an opportunity for people to learn about and connect with this remarkable period of history. The story of the Vikings is a testament to the power of exploration, trade and cultural exchange, and it serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of our world. The landscapes of Scandinavia, with their rugged coastlines, deep fjords and vast forests, were the backdrop to the Viking Age. These natural features shaped the lives of the Vikings, influencing their seafaring abilities and their interactions with the world. The beauty and harshness of the Scandinavian environment are reflected in the resilience and adaptability of the Viking people. Museums around the world house collections of Viking artifacts, from weapons and tools to jewelry and textiles. These objects provide a tangible connection to the past, offering insights into the daily lives, beliefs and skills of the Vikings. The craftsmanship of these items, with their intricate designs and practical functionality, speaks to the ingenuity and artistry of the Viking people. Academic researchers and archaeologists continue to study the Viking Age, uncovering new information and challenging old assumptions. Excavations at Viking sites reveal the complexity and diversity of Viking society, while studies of historical texts and sagas provide a deeper understanding of their culture and worldview. This ongoing research enriches our knowledge of the Vikings and their interactions with the world. In modern-day Scandinavia, the legacy of the Vikings is celebrated through traditional crafts, music and sailing. Viking-style boats are still built and sailed, keeping the maritime heritage alive. Traditional crafts such as blacksmithing and weaving are practiced and passed down through
North and
generations,
south,
preserving the
medley,
skills and knowledge
played
of
by
the
the
Viking
United States
Age.
Marine
The
Fife
influence
and
of Viking
Drumco
culture
in the
extends
Sun
far
Record.
beyond Scandinavia. Around the world, people are drawn to the history and mythology of the Vikings, finding inspiration in their stories of adventure and exploration. Viking-themed events, literature and media continue to captivate audiences, highlighting the enduring appeal of this remarkable period of history. The Vikings have also left their mark on popular culture, with numerous books, movies and TV shows bringing their stories to life. These portrayals, while sometimes romanticized, reflect the fascination and admiration that the Viking Age continues to inspire. They serve as a bridge between the past and the present, allowing new generations to discover and appreciate the legacy of the Vikings. Educational programs and workshops on Viking history are offered in schools and communities, providing opportunities for children and adults to learn about this important period. These programs often include hands-on activities such as crafting Viking artifacts or participating in reenactments, making history come alive in engaging and memorable ways. Viking-themed tourism has become increasingly popular, with visitors flocking to sites and museums dedicated to Viking history. These destinations offer a chance to explore the places where Vikings lived, traded and fought, providing a deeper connection to their world. Guided tours, interactive exhibits and reconstructed villages allow visitors to step back in time and experience the Viking Age firsthand. The global impact of Viking exploration and interaction is a testament to their far-reaching influence. From the Americas to the Middle East, the legacy of the Vikings can be seen in the cultural and historical connections that persist to this day. Modern-day descendants of the Vikings continue to celebrate their heritage, honoring the spirit of adventure and resilience that defined their ancestors.
North and south,
In conclusion,
medley,
the
played
Viking
by the
Age was a
United
tapestry
States
of
Marine
interactions,
Fife and
woven with
Drumco
threads
in
of
the Sun
exploration,
Record.
trade, and cultural exchange. The Vikings were not just warriors, but also traders, explorers, and settlers who left an indelible mark on the world. Their legacy is a rich and complex one, reflecting the interconnectedness of our past and the enduring fascination of this remarkable period of history. As we continue to explore and celebrate the Viking Age, we are reminded of the power of human curiosity and the enduring impact of cultural exchange. Section 9. The Twilight of the Gods, the End of an Era. The Viking Age, like all eras, eventually drew to a close. A confluence of factors contributed to the decline of Viking power and influence, including the rise of powerful centralized states in Europe, the Christianization of Scandinavia, and changing climatic conditions. By the late 11th century, the era of large-scale Viking raids had largely come to an end. The Vikings, once a dominant force, gradually assimilated into the societies they had encountered, their distinct cultural identity fading into the annals of history. Section 10. Echoes of the North, the Viking Legacy. Though the Viking Age came to an end, the legacy of the Vikings continues to resonate through history and into the present day. The Viking Age, which spanned from the late 8th century to the early 11th century, was a period marked by the seafaring Norse people from Scandinavia who left an indelible mark on the world. Their influence extended far beyond their homelands in what is now Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. The Vikings were not just raiders and warriors, they were also explorers, traders, and settlers who ventured far and wide, reaching as far as North America, the Middle East, and even parts of Asia. Their journeys and interactions with other cultures have left a lasting legacy that continues to be felt today. Their impact can be seen in the place names, languages, and cultural traditions of numerous nations. For instance, many towns and cities in England, Ireland, and Scotland bear names of Viking origin. The linguistic influence of the Vikings is also evident in the English language, with many words and phrases having roots in Old Norse. Beyond language, the cultural traditions and practices of the Vikings have been integrated into the societies they touched. From the way we celebrate certain festivals to the stories and myths that have been passed down through generations, the Viking influence is undeniable. Their stories continue to captivate and inspire, with the sagas and myths of the Vikings being some of the most enduring and fascinating tales in world literature. These stories, which were originally passed down orally before being written down in the medieval period, offer a glimpse into the lives, beliefs, and values of the Viking people. The sagas tell of heroic deeds, epic battles, and the adventures of legendary figures such as Ragnar Lothbrok, Eric the Red, and Leif Erikson. These tales have inspired countless works of literature, art, and even modern-day television and film, their artistry admired for its craftsmanship and beauty. The Vikings were skilled artisans, creating intricate jewelry, weapons, and everyday items that were both functional and beautiful. Their craftsmanship is evident in the detailed carvings and designs found on everything from ships and buildings to personal items like combs and brooches. The artistry of the Vikings reflects their deep connection to their environment and their appreciation for the natural world. Many of their designs feature motifs inspired by animals, plants, and the sea, showcasing their reverence for the world around them. The Vikings, once feared raiders, are now remembered as skilled navigators, explorers, traders, and artisans, a complex and fascinating people who left an indelible mark on the world. Their longships, with their sleek design and advanced technology, allowed them to travel vast distances across the open sea and navigate rivers and coastlines with ease. These ships were not only used for raiding and warfare, but also for trade and exploration. The Vikings established trade routes that connected different parts of the world, bringing goods and ideas from one region to another. Their voyages to places like Iceland, Greenland, and Vinland in present-day North America are a testament to their adventurous spirit and their desire to explore the unknown. A complex and fascinating people who left an indelible mark on the world. The Vikings were not just warriors, they were also farmers, merchants, and craftsmen who contributed to the economic and cultural development of the regions they settled in. Their settlements, which ranged from small farming communities to bustling towns, were centers of trade and commerce. The Vikings traded a wide variety of goods, including furs, textiles, and metalwork, with other cultures. This exchange of goods and ideas helped to shape the societies they interacted with and left a lasting impact on the world. Their story is a reminder that history is rarely black and white, and that even the most seemingly barbaric of cultures can possess surprising depth and complexity. The Vikings are often portrayed as ruthless raiders and warriors, but this is only one aspect of their culture. They were also a people with a rich and vibrant culture, with their own traditions, beliefs, and way of life. The Viking Age was a time of great change and upheaval, but it was also a time of innovation and exploration. The legacy of the Vikings is a testament to their resilience, adaptability, and their ability to leave a lasting impact on the world, and that even the most seemingly barbaric of cultures can possess surprising depth and complexity. The study of Viking history and culture continues to reveal new insights and discoveries, shedding light on the many facets of this fascinating people. From their advanced shipbuilding techniques to their complex social structures, the Vikings were a people of great ingenuity and resourcefulness. Their legacy is a reminder of the enduring power of human creativity and the ability to adapt and thrive in the face of challenges. The story of the Vikings is a story of exploration, innovation, and the enduring human spirit.